What up? What up? This is Tony with YORUBADE. If this is your first time on my channel, definitely let me know which country you're repping. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. Also, click the bell next to my channel name so you can be alerted when I do drop some new videos. All right, so let's get into it. So this video is just about another book review. I like to do book reviews because it's just fun, and I like to share what I'm reading so that possibly you can help somebody else out. So this book was really about listening. Now, when it comes to business or really any type of relationship, the main component that allows for something positive to happen is communication. So you want to be really good at communicating with other people, especially people that are not normally in your circle or in your niche. It's good to know how to communicate with all different people. And it's not just the verbal communication, it's also the non-verbal communication. So I know for myself, I always try to get better at how I communicate, how I speak to someone. And if I'm just being overbearing in a conversation, I want to understand or have empathy for whatever that person that I'm talking to is going through. And I just want to have that emotional intelligence when I do speak and I do listen. So it was something that's difficult for me. Active listening and even going above that is, I think it was called empathetic listening. So it's just another stage of listening. I'm going to actually talk about it in the book, or I'm just going to go through some points. But listening and communication are the two that I wanted to get better at, just because I understand if I know how to communicate better, then I can get more positive results, more results that can eventually lead to a credible value. So this is the book that I just finished reading. So I actually spent the whole day reading it. It's about 200 pages. It's not, the words are pretty big, so it's not excessive. It's really doable to read it in a day. And you know, what I usually do is just take notes. I like to use the sticky notes and just highlight certain sections that I found positive and it just stuck with me. So I'm actually going to go through this book and just point out some parts it can be beneficial to everyone, you all, and possibly if you want to go on Amazon and get the book, I will a link and or probably a pinned comment of the book so you can click on it and you can get it for yourself. All right, so I'm gonna go to first the first section. And basically I just try to highlight stuff that we kind of already know, but we don't really consciously think about it. And I'm just going to read off what I highlight and just briefly talk about it. So highlight was you just need to forget yourself for a moment and engage fully and honestly in what someone else is saying. Stop thinking about your response for the future and pay attention to what someone is currently saying to you. So this is something that I have caught myself doing where when someone is speaking, I'm thinking about how to respond to them because I feel if I don't think about it, I'm going to forget it. And I don't know about you, but for me, like it sucks when I forget stuff that I want to say and possibly remember later on week or in the day or something like that. So I'm always thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to say. I got to remember what I'm going to say. And then, but unfortunately or consequently, I'm missing key information that they're saying. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, or at the end of the conversation, I'm asking questions. Okay, oh, you said this, or I'll ask a question and they're like, oh, I already said this. You wasn't listening. I'm like, oh shoot, it's because I was thinking about what I was gonna say. So that's something that really stuck out to me. Be aware and not worry so much about if I forget what I'm going to say. I have to be in the moment and I have to be listening to that person actively and then respond to what they're saying. And maybe whatever I originally want to say will come back, but yeah, that's what it is. All right, the next one. Second thing I highlighted was be open to being proven wrong to being surprised. So really it's very difficult for myself to no one wants to be proven wrong because we feel like okay we're dumb. I mean that was the extreme, but A lot of times, especially online and in different videos, I had it on my videos and just what I've seen in commentary. People don't like being told that they're wrong about anything. So at least when I look inward, I'm like, okay, well, this is an issue. I don't know all the answers, but I don't like to be called out. Well, I got to work through it. So that really stuck out to me as far as just like, look, you got to show some humility. You don't know everything. You're going to get wrong. That's human. It's just all part of the journey. You'll get better at it and just keep on moving. But you got to be open to, I guess, criticism and just being wrong. A lot of people are not. And it just limits the type of connection you can have with other people if you can't admit that you're wrong. So that was that. We'll go to the next page. All right, so that's what I highlighted. What does someone want out of this interaction, event, conversation, chat, venting session? So really is just talking about if someone is coming to you and they're engaging with you, it's not so much you telling them the solution or the answer. It's you're trying to figure out, okay, why are they coming to me for this, or why are they saying this? Like, what do they what is it I think that they want out of it? So you're really trying to put yourself in that person's shoes and understand their logic, their emotions, their feelings. Why are they saying this? It allows for a more genuine interaction, and it makes the it makes the person that's talking feel like, oh wow, this person really cares. They're listening to me, they're asking questions, and it's really very relatable. So what's the other one? So so this was really interesting. So in this section, the author just the difference of listening, and I'm going to go through everyone briefly, and you could kind of I'll briefly describe it. So the first one is ignoring. So we all know what it is. Someone is talking, the other person that's receiving the talk is not paying attention, and they're just doing whatever. And then the original person's like, "Hey, you're not listening," or whatever. So that's the first one. You don't want to be in that stage or that level. The pretend listening is, I'm sure you know all this, but I'm trying to relate it to my own self, and I've done this several times where someone is talking, and then I go in and out, like trying to make it seem like I'm involved, and I'll say some stuff here and there, but really I'm not engaged like that, and I'm just like, okay, and then it's not fair to the person that's actually speaking. They're speaking to me because for whatever reason, and I'm not really into it. So just imagine the roles were reversed. I wouldn't feel good about, just talking to someone and they're like pretending to say shit, and then I'll just make up some stuff, and then they'll go along with it, and they're not like, clearly they're not listening. So the other part is selective listening. So the way this author described it is, at this level, we start to give our partner real attention to a point. As long as the speaker is saying something we agree or sympathize with, we're with them. But if they switch direction and put forth an idea that doesn't jive with us, we go back to pretend listening or ignoring them. So basically, a selfish way of listening to somebody where if something triggers in your head, they say a word that triggers you or gets your attention, then you'd be all about it. And then when you start going back into their regular monologue or dialogue, then you just you fall back, and then you go back to what you was already doing. It's like changing someone essentially, and I've done it before where the whatever the person is saying is not that interesting, and then they'll say, like, I'm like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, okay, all right, this is all basics, and then I'm just like zoning out, and I'm pretending to listen, and so yeah, I've done this before, and it's not a fair way to listen to people, but that's what I was doing. All right, so the fourth level of listening is attentive listening, and this is usually the better one, where someone is saying something and you're asking questions along with it just to figure out what's going on, and it's still good level of listening for what they're saying, but it's I'm just reading just what the summary for them was. Not perfect, but good. We're giving our partner our complete attention and listening to every detail they provide. We're not distracted. We're not shutting them out, and we're not changing the subject. However, what keeps this level from being 5-star, fully focused listening is our analytical and our judgmental mind. While the other person speaks, we're comparing their statements to our own points of view, deciding whether we're in agreement with them or not, like someone on a debate team. So self-explanatory. We're listening, we're asking questions, but we're trying to get them in a way to understand our point of view instead, and kind of point out why whatever they're saying isn't necessary, right or wrong, in a way. So we're listening, we're actively engaged, but we're engaged so that they can conform more towards our ideals. So that's the attentive listening. And the highest one, empathetic listening, which this author says not a lot of people do, is so it's the most desirable level of listening and the polar opposite of the first level. By ignoring and empathetic listening, we give all our attention to the person we're talking to. We're not just zeroed in on what they're saying. We're putting ourselves in their shoes. We're not theorizing what we do or how we feel in that situation. We're making a strong effort to understand where they're coming from. So basically, you just showing empathy. You're listening intensively, you're asking specific questions, and you're not trying to have them conform to your ideals, or you're not coming at what they're saying from your perspective. You're trying to really put yourself in their shoes and understand what they're saying. And in that case, it just draws the person out. Now, I've done this before several times, and I see how someone opens up when you really try to put yourself on that level and understand their thought process. Like, how are they thinking? Why are they seeing it this way? And then what starts to happen is you can kind of predict how they would respond and their feelings. It's kind of cool, but once you get to that level, then you could kind of interpret. Okay, they're probably gonna feel this way, and then when you say that to them, it just makes them more comfortable in engaging with you. So those are the 5 levels. You really want to be around 4 and 5. So the fourth one was the attentive listening. And then, of course, the fifth one is the empathetic listening. Those are the highest ones that you kind of want to be around if you want to engage in good dialogue. So, okay. So another part that I highlighted is it goes back to the empathy part. So the question they're asking here is that we should be asking ourselves about the other person that's speaking is, what is going on in that person's world? What is it like to be them right now? In what ways does what I'm hearing make total sense for this person? So once again, you're just going back to their perspective and you're trying to understand, why are they saying this? What happened in their life that makes them think this way? What life experiences are they experiencing? You're really you're painting a picture as far as like why this individual is the way they are. So even when, let's example, when it came to politics, some of you Trump supporters and Biden supporters, you're trying. What will really make you stand out is if you can have that unbiased view of just saying, okay, what makes someone become black people that were Trump supporters? Well, it's easy just to bash them, oh, they're stupid and shit like that. But why not? That's what most people are going to do. You want to, here we're trying to be different from everyone else. Another interesting take it is, why not figure out, are they Trump supporters? There has to be something, like, if we're being reasonable, they're not brain dead. There's something that they believe in, or it can just be they just didn't want to go for Biden, whatever reason. On that level and figuring out they voted for this person. It can be on flip it as far as like Biden, why they voted for Biden, and just putting yourself in that level and just understanding, okay, their thought process. Then it stops you from being so damn judgmental. And that's the problem with, at least in this country, we are too damn judgmental and we're so divided. No one talks to each other. and everyone has their own preconceived notion how someone else, is just from their political affiliation. And at the end of the day, it doesn't get us anywhere. So that's that. Just got two more highlights that I want to talk about. All right, so this one, it talks about communication. What is communication? And what he wrote is there are three parts to communication: the person sending the message, the person receiving the message, and the message itself. If something goes wrong in any of these three areas, communication will fail. If the speaker isn't expressing themselves correctly, if the listener doesn't really want to listen, or if the message is sent in a way that it can't be heard, then communication just doesn't happen. So to be good communicators, we need to do two things: understand who we are talking to and figure out a way to appeal to them directly. So when it comes, this is something that I had to develop myself, and I'm still working on it. I'm always a work in progress, but just understanding what's the point of communication. I'm trying to send out a message, or they're trying to send out a message that they think is relevant and important to my life or whatever. So understanding what creates good dialogue and good communication can get you farther than not really thinking about it and just only thinking about getting your message out, getting your word out. So I like that he put in, you want to know, you have to understand who you're talking to. Are you talking to an older generation person? Are you talking to someone that's younger than you? You have to be aware of how you come across, with whether it be your tone, the language, the jargon, the slang, so that the other person, the one on the receiving end, can understand what you're saying, and of course, coming off respectful and that. And then also, if you're trying to convince someone or really get your message, you have to. That's another important thing. You have to appeal. You're trying to appeal to them by understanding where they're coming from, their life experiences, what they'll probably be thinking about, and then you can come and say, okay, well, this is what I'm saying. Here's an analogy that I can use, so maybe you can better understand. But because you're taking time to focus in on the subject of, the person that's receiving your information, your communication can go a lot far. It can be more effective. So I like that part. And the last one I found important. Okay, so he wrote, think about it this way: there is always an explanation for why people behave, think, and feel as they, whether or not you know what this is, or indeed agree with or understand it. There's an explanation, and it makes sense for them. So this last part was, I learned recently about why people do what they do, and this is why I don't get so emotional over politics, or even the things that are happening, politics here in the US, or what's going on in Nigeria. I can get frustrated or whatever, but as far as just, oh man, like mad or they're stupid. Now I really try to understand, why does someone think this way? What is make it, like, what happened in their life to move them towards a certain direction? And once I start thinking that way, I'm like, okay, well, they're just people. They have their own desires, fears, and stuff like that. What is making them make these certain decisions? And then usually you can pinpoint, oh, okay, so this happened in their life, or they came across this other person. Oh, okay, now that makes sense. Okay, so I have understanding, and now I can empathize with what they're saying, what they're going through, why they're making a certain decision, even if they don't recognize it. At least I do. Now, from a position of like love in this example, and just say, okay, well, I understand what you're saying. Have you ever thought about it this way? Or, am I hearing you clearly? Is this what you're saying? Like, it just allows you to be more relatable, and that other person on the receiving end doesn't have their, it stops them from putting up their guards, being defensive, and feeling like they got to get in attack mode because you're going at their beliefs or whatever. So that's the last thing I really, when it came to communication, that was one of the last things I learned, and it helped me tremendously. Now I try to break down why someone does something, why they do certain moves, or like I really try to understand that person. It's helped for me. So, but that's all I got. This is what I got from how to listen with intention. So a very short read, really good. I'll leave a description, or I'll leave the link to if you want to look at it on Amazon and buy it on Amazon. I'll leave it in the probably a pin comment, or probably both, pin comment and in the description, and then you could check it out for yourself, and hopefully it can add value to your own life. So until next time, stay blessed.